everybody, I'm Dr. Angel Storm. I'm the founder of Ashes to Beauty Ministries, and today I want to talk to you about how you are both the problem and the solution in your own life. I know what a lot of you are going to think, like, no, you don't know my life and my problems are all external. It's because of the narcissist, or it's because of some sort of injustice, or I didn't have, the background growing up. My parents couldn't afford to send me here or there or do this or that for me. And I hear you on all of that, but today I ask that you would just hear my video and see if any of these things apply to you. So recently, by the time you see this video, a few weeks back, I was able to meet with some different people that I would not have any other way to meet besides at this certain event that we all went to, and I got to hear a lot of different stories, a lot of different people's experiences and what they were going through and where they came from and what they do now. And I realized quickly, none of us knew each other from anywhere, so we were all complete strangers at the meeting. And I noticed that a lot of them were poor in their mindset. So the soil of their mind was not fertile. It was not a conducive place for different thoughts, ideas, business ideas especially, or different ways of thinking for them to kind of start cultivating their own life and even a new way of doing things, And I saw that although they hated the way that they were brought up, a lot of the things that had happened to them as children, they didn't agree with, they wished that they could do something different, they were actually repeating that same cycle with their children because that was all that they could possibly conceive of. Again, their mind was poor. And of course, obviously, when your mind is poor, you're going to likely be poor financially as well. And so, like these videos that I'm doing now, I want to talk about the root of that, which is that you're poor spiritually. And I want to talk to you about the ways that people get poor spiritually. Nobody is born spiritually poor. Everybody is born as a spirit with a soul in a body when they come to earth, and everybody comes from the throne room. Every single person, regardless of what they end up becoming later on as a baby, they are all on purpose, for purpose, from heaven. And so none of us come here spiritually poor, but things in life set us up to rob that wealth from us. So let me give you an example. One of the ladies that was at this event, she was talking about how, she did this certain thing because that's what she saw her parents do, and she knew that it was wrong. She would say that. And yet she would do the same things when she raised her son, who's now an adult. And unsurprisingly, he's facing a lot of the same things. She's watching the cycle continue, right? And we sometimes call these generational curses when they repeat through the family lineage and things like that. And I saw that the gateway, your whole life is a gateway. So your entire body is a gateway. Your whole being is a gateway. And what I mean by that is that things can come in and things can go out. And you should be the gatekeeper of all of those gateways. So in your body, you have 5 main gateways, all of your senses, right? Sight, sound, touch, smell, and hearing. And those things influence your soul, which also is a gateway. So your feelings, your will, your likes, your dislikes, your personality, I've kind of talked about that, and your emotions and your thoughts. And so the way that you take in what comes in through your body, through your senses, turns into something in your soul. A like, a dislike, how you think about it, how you perceive it, all of that kind of stuff is happening at these first 2 levels of the gateway. And then all of that ultimately influences your spirit, so what happens to that connection, that full connection of wealth that you had with God the Father when you came to earth as a baby, it either adds to that relationship and adds to ultimately your full destiny, or it takes away from it and it robs you of that. That's why some people cannot see that their pattern of thinking is the reason that they're in the situation that they're in. And that's really what I want to talk to you about today. So when you're a child, you're exposed to a lot of things that you have zero control of, right? And you go to school or you're homeschooled, however you learn, and you don't really get a say in what school you go to or how you learn in that curriculum. But all of those things are starting to shape your behavior, starting to shape your personality, your likes, your dislikes. So the soil of your soul is being formed in those as when you're a child, and everybody knows this, right? And I don't think that there's a lot of dispute there. The problem becomes when we grow up, when we become an adult and we are supposed to take responsibility for ourselves, we have a lot of open-ended things, loose ends, if you will, that didn't get tied up, or things that have left us feeling robbed or shorted in some way. And so if we don't face those things, like so many of us don't want to face them because they're uncomfortable, and so we turn to other things, again, gateways through our senses. So we either turn to bad relationships, we turn to food, we turn to drugs or alcohol, or even binge watching somebody else's life, a perfect life on TV that we fantasize about having our own selves. All of these things are coming in through our senses, which are gateways into our soul. And again, that area of our soul is so important to guard, because what happens there, it's the filter, if you will, between our body and our spirit. And if we don't take care of that filter, kind of like if we don't take care of our internal organs, the things that are supposed to be helping us either get nutrients in and filter out toxins, if we don't take care of our bodies and those things aren't working as effectively as they should, eventually we're going to start seeing that in our health. We're going to start seeing that in our ability to do things that we normally would have been able to do, but now we can't. And the same thing is true for our soul. So at one point you were able to have those types of thoughts. Oh, at one point I used to have these dreams or these hopes, and you'll hear people say that. But now they're not able to. And why is that? It's really because something happened where their soil and their soul is so hardened that they cannot see that they are both the problem in as to why they are thinking this way, why they cannot seem to break out of the socioeconomic status that they were born into, why they can't seem to progress in their job or with relationships, why they keep picking the same type of spouse over and over multiple times. All of these things have to do with the fact that they are the problem, and therefore they're the solution. It's a really good thing, actually, when you think about it, that you're both the problem and the solution in your own life. So I am going to talk about some things that you can do to really analyze your own life and see about where you fall in how well you guard these gateways into your spirit. Because ultimately everything that comes through your body goes to your soul and goes to your spirit. And likewise, if your soul is fluid, you should be able to push everything from your spirit through your soul and into your body as well, and make it manifest in the natural. So you've heard people talk about the law of attraction, and I've kind of already addressed that's a counterfeit law to the law of sowing and reaping. And it really has to do with whatever you've sown from the spirit, right? Because whoever sows to the flesh will reap destruction. So let me just ask you a few questions, and you can kind of see what you do. Like, what are you consuming through your senses? What primarily do you take in? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Do you spend more time watching TV? So for example, I read somewhere, and I'm sorry, I cannot tell you if this is statistically true or not. I can't tell you how they did the study or anything like that. I didn't really research it that much, but that Americans watch 4 hours, on average, just under 4 hours of TV a day. Think about the things that you're consuming, not only through your eye gates, through your ear gates, but you know that when the TV gives off light, it gives off blue waves, and you are consuming that into your whole being. And so this is one of the ways that we get robbed, of the wealth that we were born with, is through too much TV. I noticed that for my own self. First of all, I feel bad if I watch TV. It doesn't matter what it is. I feel it still with me, like when I go to sleep. And because I don't have TV and I'm not exposed to that, I don't put myself in a place where my senses are consuming that. I also don't listen to a lot of music that's on the radio and stuff. Like, I control what I listen to through YouTube. So paying attention to what it is that you are consuming through your senses is really going to tell you a lot about why your soul is in the state of health that it is. So if you find yourself eating a lot of fast food, you find yourself eating a lot of like junk food from boxes or bags or frozen things, like stuff that isn't fresh, that didn't come from the ground, it didn't come straight from the earth, you're going to notice that that is going to take a toll on your health. And these things are the basics of what our cells are made out of. So if you're feeding yourself junk all of the time, it's not a surprise that you're feeling bad because you've only given your body junk to make your body out of. So it's not just something that is like, oh, I feel bad because I ate too much or I ate a piece of pizza. It's not like going to go away quickly like that. Like, as soon as I'm done digesting this food, it'll be gone, because your body has taken that food and is making your body out of it. It's making your brain cells out of it. And so similarly, all of that stuff affects your soul. It affects the soil of what you're able to grasp, what other ideas, what outside ideas you're able to take in, how quickly you're able to respond to new information or to new stimuli, that you can adjust your belief system and your behaviors off of when you're presented with new information that you didn't have before. So as I was going back to this meeting that I was at, as we were going on, a lot of them spoke about the fact that they were working multiple jobs, just trying to make ends meet, and even with that, this effort that they were putting forth at these positions, they were still only able to take home a certain amount of money, and they weren't able to buy the food that they wanted to buy. And so I was listening to them speak about these struggles, and of course I have a lot of empathy for what they are going through, and struggling to provide for their families and their kids, and hearing these different stories. But I also noticed that they had certain belief systems that were limiting what was possible in their life because of these belief systems. So believing that you are where you are, and that's always where you're going to be, and it can only get better if somebody raises the minimum wage, or if somebody gives you additional health benefits at your job, or something like that, where it's always an external person dependent upon your quality of life going up. You're always going to be limited because you're putting all of that power that you have inside of yourself into the hands of somebody else, and you're saying to them, here's my power, now provide for me. I give you my power, you should give it back to me and provide for me all of these things that I need in order to survive. I see this a lot with people who don't know how to respond versus react when they're in a situation. So if you respond to somebody, you've thought out exactly what they are saying, you hear the spirit that they are speaking from, you're aware of all of the things that are going into the words that are being spoken towards you, and you craft a response knowing that you don't have to give up your position in order to meet whatever it is that they're saying. Whereas somebody who's reacting, somebody says a bunch of stuff to them and they go and just pick up everything that they've said, and they immediately leave their position. They go and do exactly what that other person was doing, and they literally give that person the power and control that they were seeking. You know, in their mind, they wanted to not do that, but they were doing the thing that they didn't want to do. They wanted to take back their power, to, you know, set their foot down and make their position known, and yet their reaction was one that just totally eliminated their standing of power and authority that they had in that position, and did exactly the thing that the other person wanted them to do. And this happens a lot in abuse cases. People think that if I'm louder, if I'm more vocal, if I escalate what they are doing, if I escalate that to another realm, then I'm going to get a different reaction from the abuser, and that is just not the case. You've literally fed into the cycle because you're partnering with the same spirit that they are speaking from. And so being able to respond to situations by seeing the system that is behind whatever you are facing, you're able to pick your decisions more thoroughly and better, and from a place of peace versus a place of fear, like just I got to respond to this because this isn't okay. And you're giving up a lot of the power that you would have had you waited and thought the whole thing through and seen what was actually behind the system that you were facing. All that you see is not all that there is. There is a lot going on that you cannot see in the natural. The things in the natural are just the fruit of what's happening in the spirit from the system behind it. Unfortunately, we have gotten to a place where we are so insistent on seeing these changes happen in the natural that we're just going here and there and trying to do all of these different things, that we're not systemic about what is happening. We don't have an actual system set in place for I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do this, and it's addressing the spirit behind everything that's happening. See, if you don't change that spirit, you're going to get the same fruit. You're going to keep getting the same things. I can't keep showing up to an apple tree hoping that oranges are going to be there. I need to go to a different tree. And that's exactly what I'm talking about here. I see and I sympathize, I empathize with people who are in these positions, and I'm not saying that from somebody who's not ever experienced these things. I feel like, in fact, my story is way crazier than these stories that I've heard, and it's not about comparing, but it is about elevating your level of what you're able to perceive and see. And until you do that, you're going to continue to get on this hamster wheel that just doesn't go anywhere, and you're wasting all of this energy. You're exerting all of this power and force into literally going nowhere. When I really wanted to make a change in my life, I literally got so serious about what I was doing. I've never really watched TV. I've never had the time to do it. I've just had other interests that came before watching TV, and also just sitting there. Like I said, it just doesn't make me feel good, and so I just haven't really done it. But I got so serious about it. I don't have TV. I don't have the music going on unless I've chosen each and every song that's on. I don't create an atmosphere in my home that is allowing another system to come in there just whenever it wants and to just reside and habitation there. And so I encourage all of you to really start taking a look at what you're doing with your senses. What are you allowing in? Because you are the gatekeeper. You are the gatekeeper, and you need to be aware of what you're allowing in, because that's going to be a good sign about what you're putting out. And so if you find yourself doing the same things over and over, you have got to make a change. Even when all of the things that you are saying are true. Remember, I've talked to you about facts and truths, and you might be telling me everything that is factual that's happening in your life. Your kid is sick, you're working 2 jobs, you still can't afford the things that you want. All of the things that are facts, I hear you on those facts. But until you can change, until you are willing to shift what you are consuming through all of your senses, and the way that your soul processes them. So it's, the way that you think about things, you have to be willing to change your mind, renew your mind, your likes and dislikes. You really need to take a look and say, is that the healthiest thing for me to like, or is that the healthiest thing for me to dislike? Just because you don't like eating vegetables doesn't mean you shouldn't eat them, right? And so it's literally taking a look and seeing at every single thing that you are consuming through your senses and the way that your soul processes them, because then you're going to be able to see where the blockages are in the spirit. In my last video, I talked about why your dreams don't manifest, and why people are, they really, 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 really want something, and yet it never happens, and it has to do with this limitation. It has to do with these limiting beliefs and this mindset that people have put on their own selves, even if it was handed down to you from your parents or from your grandparents or your great-grandparents. I don't care how far back it goes with, you have to partner with it and accept it in order for it to manifest in your life. And the same is true for blessings. The same is true for abundance and the abundant life that you want to be leading. You need to say, I am the solution in this thing that is the problem in my life. I can make a change. I can't control what's going on the outside. I can change what I do with what's going on the outside and how that affects me internally. And I'm going to get the lesson out of this. You know, again, you're going to continue to face the same things in life because all of those situations are meant to pull the greatness out of you. And so until that greatness is pulled out, until you become the version of yourself that can handle the next season in life, you're going to continue to be the same version. That's why you can see people who haven't changed at all since high school. They have the same job, they live in the same house, they're doing the same stuff that they did, you know, the summer that they graduated high school. It's because they put that cap on their own selves. They decided that that was the norm. They decided that they couldn't do anything different. They bought into the lies and they gave up their power to these lies. They've handed over their authority to the system that's operating behind those lies. This is a really important topic for you to understand. I hope you'll go back and watch this video a few times, because next week my video is going to talk about how this pertains to knowledge and understanding and wisdom and revelation and all of those things that we get in our spirit, and how these things, if you don't have these things down, if you haven't come to terms with the fact that yes, I am doing things that are wrong, when it's just like, I am doing things that are wrong. It's not, I'm doing things that are wrong, but that's because, you know, this is all I knew, or it was this person's fault. When it's just, no, I am doing things. You're able to take responsibility for your own self, for your own life, and you're willing to say, I'm taking responsibility and I'm taking back my authority. I'm taking back the position that I'm meant to have in life. I was made for more than this state that I'm in right now. And until you can get to that place, you're going to continue to do the same things over and over, because you haven't mastered that test. You know, you cannot pass to the next level. You cannot move on until you've graduated from that level that you're at right now. Please take a look and see, what are you consuming and how much time are you spending consuming this stuff? You know, what are you eating? How much time are you spending around eating that kind of food? How much TV are you watching? What kind of stuff are you listening to? And I don't just mean like through electronic devices. I mean, like, who are the people around you? Who are you talking with? What kind of ideas and visions do they have for their life? Are they tearing you down, or are they building you up? Are they calling you up to be the person that you were created to be? And seriously, do an inventory of what is happening in your life and what you are guarding, what you passively allowed through these gates that you are in control of, and take back the authority that you were given. You can do this at any time. You know, that's the most amazing thing about life, is that if at any point this is not working out for you, you can just change your mind and you can start building a new life. And it really is that simple. The manifestations of what you're believing for, again, don't happen until that version of yourself is in full effect, until you are fully able to handle the next season in life. But it really is that simple of like, I'm going to do it. The path to changing isn't easy. You're going to have to stick with it. There's going to be a lot of discipline involved, and a lot of, you know, what we have termed killing your flesh, or in other words, giving up what you want now for what you want most, and sacrificing to have that life that you eventually want to have. You know, that it is possible, and really spending time with God and letting Him breathe again onto those dreams that He planted in your spirit when He created you. You know, your dreams were made, they are so much a part of you. They were literally made in the same substance as you. All of the dreams that you have were put there from God when He created you as a spirit, when He gave you a soul and put you in a body. Those came with you. And so it's very important that you pay attention to those things, that you spend time cultivating a relationship where you can hear from Holy Spirit easily, you know, I need to go and do this thing now, or I need to move here. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense or it's going against the norm. Even again, the best people who want to give you the best advice can lead you astray if you don't know what you were created to do, if you don't know your purpose, and if you can't hear from God on your own. And I have a whole video on that called Be Careful Who You Listen To, so you can check that out. after this video if you feel led. Again, I'm Dr. Angel Storm. I hope this video has helped you kind of understand where perhaps you've given up some of your power, some of your authority, and what things you need to change, monitor, maybe consume less of, maybe consume more of, in order to have the life that you want to have, in order to lead the life that you were destined to lead and walk fully in your purpose. Be sure to subscribe to my channel below and turn on the bell so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video.